Hello my little diamond divas, your Queen Indigo Diamond here with another video talking about the finale of All-Stars 6. What a finale it was. Before we get into that, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video, and I don't know, comment who would you like to see come back for All-Stars 7, I guess. Yeah. Makeup is odd today. I was supposed to be going to see a friend, but my other half wasn't feeling overly well, so we rescheduled, but I didn't know if we were going to reschedule or not, so I didn't shave. So I didn't want to do my drag makeup, but I still wanted to do something, and then this somehow came about. I honestly could not tell you what the inspiration was, what it's supposed to be, or anything. All I know is I just started pulling colours out, putting colours on my face, and this is what happened. Yeah. So the finale of All Stars 6. I mean, the finales are always pretty good anyway, so, you know, no disappointments. They did a country song for the finale, so RuPaul and Tanya Tucker collabed on a song and the girls had to write verses for it. It was nice that all four of the queens were like country queens. Made a lot more sense. Could you imagine, like, I don't know, just like someone like Pandora or Jiggly like doing a country song. I don't know how that would have gone. Maybe it was rigged, so we had all country queens. I didn't mind the song. I liked the queens' verses. I still feel like, I don't know if it's like a problem with just the editing of it or something, but it still feels like the music's too loud compared to the vocals themselves. With this song, I get that, you know, songs you always get like a bit of auto-tune in that, but I just felt like the auto-tune in this song was just a bit overkill for me. I still enjoyed the song, I loved the Queen's verses, but I just felt like there was a bit too much auto-tune for me. My least favourite, I think, was probably Eureka. Vocally and how she looked, I don't think her look really went with the like country theme. I get what she was doing because she was, well, I mean, she was talking about how a lot of other places have like monarchies and stuff like that, and you know, America doesn't need those sort of things. So she talked about like Marie Antoinette, which is what her original outfit looked like, well, was inspired by. But yeah, I just didn't really feel like her outfit went as well. And I did feel like her hair looked like it was about to fall off. Ginger, I love Ginger in this. You know, I mean, she's very southern anyway, so very much like in her element. Her outfit looked amazing. She looked good in the presentation. I'm going to skip over to Raja. Raja, again, looked good. Had a very important message with her verse when she was talking about, obviously, like, don't shoot, with regards to the American police force. Definitely an important message, a message that needs to keep being put out there until these things stop. When that will happen, honestly, I don't know. I would like to hope that it would have already stopped happening, but, you know, clearly these things are still going on when they shouldn't be. You know, these are just people, let them live. And just go about their lives and do what they want to do and what they're doing on their everyday, you know. They shouldn't be living in fear that they're going to go to this grocery store and just get shot by a policeman for no apparent reason. It just, no. It's not okay. Back to Kylie. I enjoyed Kylie's verse. Kylie very much looked effortless to me when she was doing the choreography and everything. I loved her look. I liked Raja's look as well. I didn't mention that. Oops. But yeah, I mean, all in all, it was pretty good. You know, Eureka was probably the one that I had the most negatives about, which is unfortunate, but I don't know, there's just been something about Eureka this season that I've just been a bit like, alright, okay, you're still here. Good for you. we get to, obviously, the final runway. Eureka comes out. I did not like this look. Loads of people seem to. I did not like it. I felt like there was too much nude illusion on there for me. There was also the nude illusion didn't quite match her skin tone exactly, so it didn't really look like it was a nude illusion, especially around like where her boobs were. You could see just the circle of where the fabric was, and for me I was just like starting to go, okay, that's like, it doesn't really look like the nude illusion's working overly well, or how I imagine it's supposed to. I get what she was going for. She was trying to go for like the very like Cher Bob Mackie sort of thing. For me, I just feel like it would have looked better if it had been more purple and less nude illusion. Because the purple looked stunning and it looked good on her. I just think maybe she should have flipped them around. I don't think flipping them around would have worked quite well with the exact outfit. But you know what I mean, just like had more of the purple and less of the nude. Ginger's was different for Ginger. You know, she came out in a more elegant look and less campy, which the judges were happy with. I thought she looked good. I love the hair on her. The colour looked good on her, and it was, you know, nice to see something different. Didn't really have much else to say about that. Kylie's was nice. Part of me feels like it wasn't quite a finale look, but it still looked really good on her. I loved the tinsel hair. You know, I like the fact that she was like, you know, reclaiming the American flag, because obviously queer people have had a lot of issues in America recently. So, you know, I get where she's coming from. It still looked absolutely stunning on her, but I mean, when doesn't Kylie look good? And then Raja came out again in her signature purple, an outfit she had made. It looked good, but again, when does Raja not really look good? It's kind of one of those things where you're like, yeah, you look good. It's like, but when don't you? And I mean, that's not a bad problem to have, if I'm honest. Like, if all someone's got to say to you about you is, you look good, but when don't you? I mean, much worse things to say. So, how do I feel about the queens and how they've done this season? Eureka, again, for me, she's just kind of been there for the most part this season. I don't think she's... I mean, I know she's saying that she's sort of like... She's felt like she's just had more fun this season. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that. But I didn't necessarily agree with all of your placements. Like, there was a few times where she was in the top where I just didn't necessarily agree with it myself. I probably would have given her the Pink Table Talk win, though, over Ginger. I mean, I like Ginger, but I just feel like, for me, Eureka did it slightly better, so I probably would have given her that win. But I also wouldn't have given her the win that she did get. I would switch the wins. Yeah, she's just kind of been there for me. Ginger has done quite well this season, but again, it's Ginger, you kind of expect her to do quite well, and the judges did say this as well. She has done better, I feel, with her outfits a lot of the time. Not all the time. There have been some outfits that she's done where you're like, oh, Ginger, why? But then it's like, when they had the group challenge, when they were doing the commercials, and she ended up in the bottom, I get that they did. It's a team, you're in the bottom, but obviously if they had done it individually, I wouldn't have put her in the bottom at all. So she would have had one less bottom against her. Snatch Game win, I agree with the win. I would have even happily had her as a double win with Kylie, because Kylie's dolly was amazing. All in all, I think she's done fairly well this season. It's that thing with Ginger where I feel like she's been very professional and very good all season, but she's not necessarily kind of been very vulnerable this season. And I mean, I don't feel like we really see much vulnerability from Ginger when she does compete anyway. And I think that's probably one of her downfalls, is the fact that she doesn't show that vulnerability. Kylie has obviously come a massive way from her season. You know, was on season 2, didn't last overly long. You know, she was just kind of there. Came back all these years later for All-Star 6. you know, and she showed that she's not just pretty, she can do other things. And, you know, she's looked good, and she's been able to keep up with these queens, because I know a lot of queens, a lot of people think queens from the older seasons can't, like, compete as well now. And, I mean, obviously, like, Tatiana proved that was wrong, you know, but Kylie, to be off for so long and then come back and she makes the top 4, is really a case of going, yeah, so these older seasons, how do you feel about them now? And it was nice to be able to see her come back and do well, and especially to be, you know, if you think about it, season 13 we had Make a Trans Man come into the competition, do really well, and now to have a trans woman come in and do really well is really good to see. So fingers crossed, you know, we get some more diversity in the casting in future. Obviously it depends on if people are applying and what their applications are like, so I don't know, I don't see them. Raja has obviously had a massive turnaround from her season. I was not a fan of Raja on her season. I obviously still followed her on social media because I like to follow all the queens, just because I don't like having how they've been on Drag Race to be the only thing I see of them. I like to form my opinion of them, like, afterwards, when they're, like, with how they interact with people and stuff, and, like, their actual performances. I like to kind of get that more in-depth knowledge of them before I kind of go definitely like, oh, yeah, I'm not a fan. Or, oh, no, yeah, I am a fan. Raja was one of those people where I was like, okay, I do not like how you are on season 11. Followed her on social media and was like, oh, actually, you know, she's not like this at all. So, you know, some people just don't do well in competitions, that sort of setting, and some people it's just a case of the first time round there's just so much going on that you just can't quite break through almost. Coming back for All Stars 6, obviously she's been very nice, very sweet, but also just really quite good this season. You know, I mean, there's not really been any drama like all season, but, you know, she's kind of moderated some things, like when there was that whole thing with Trinity going, come on, it's like, you know, you guys in the bottom, you've just come in, you know, you've instantly gone and pleading a case, and, you know, I've just won, this is my first win ever. And she was like, can we just take a minute to celebrate Miss Trinity? And, you know, just things like that. And she has just been, I feel, happier overall. I don't want to say nicer, because I feel like she's had a happier energy this season, and it's just been really nice to see. And I'm just glad that she's been able to kind of show that to people that maybe do just form opinions on queens based on how they are on Drag Race, because there's a lot of people in the fandom that do that. They go, oh, this is what they did on Drag Race, this is who they are, and it's like, actually, no, they've done this on Drag Race, that's probably like 1% of who they are. It's like, follow them on social media, you know, see exactly how they are. Go watch a show if you can. I mean, obviously a lot of the American queens, for me, I can't see an actual show of how they are, especially a lot of the time if they do come over to the UK. My closest venue that they tend to go to is in Brighton, and then it tends to be on like either like Thursday or something like that, or a Sunday, and I'm like, I can't go because I have work. I don't have the money to go. But, you know, it's all about seeing how they are out of Drag Race, because Drag Race is just the tiniest bit of how these queens actually are, and if you take it from that, you're going to be missing out on so much in regards to them. It's ridiculous. My one thing about this episode that I didn't like, they didn't bring the queens back. They did it in All Stars 5, and I just think it should be a staple that every season of All Stars, they just bring all the queens back right at the end just to walk in their the finale look. Just because, I mean, it'd be nice to see them back, just in general, but for them to be able to come back and be like, ah, yes, this is my finale look. How cool is this? I just think would be so much better, not only for the audience, but for the queens as well. I think it'd just be nice to get that one extra episode of ta-da! And I mean, like, UK Drag Race, they do that. in both seasons so far of UK Drag Race, all the queens have come back for the finale and got to sort of like be like, outfit. So I would have liked to seen that. It was kind of a shame that they didn't. I don't know if it's a case of maybe COVID restrictions stopped it or what, but I would have liked to seen it. Now, they have their final like critiques and their final like chats with the judges, and we get to the finale where they all come out in their outfits ready to lip sync, and Ru one by one sort of like, I mean, she confirms like Kylie and Raja first, then she confirms Ginger, and then there's like this pause, and then she confirms Eureka. And I'm like, I get it. I mean, if you were going to chop someone, for me, it would have been Eureka I would have chopped. But they all get to lip sync for their crown, but they have to do it in the same style that they did on season 13, which is one at a time. So one by one, these queens lip sync. Obviously, we don't get to see the full lip sync. They obviously edit them in, so we kind of like switch between them as they go. Sometimes like two will appear on screen at a time. I like this because, I mean, it's difficult because I would like to see how a queen lip syncs entirely, but at the same time, I'm sat there going, if you watch 4 queens lip sync one by one to the same song, like that's just going to be like, you're going to get to like partway through the second song or partway through the third song and just going to be like, but yeah, it's like, I mean, they're doing well, but still, it's like that's a lot of times to listen to the song in a row. And you can't really give them separate songs because that could give someone an unfair advantage. But so my least favourites for this were probably Ginger and Eureka, which was really upsetting, but just neither of them really seemed to do much. And they just didn't seem like they were all that into the song, which was a shame. I mean, Ginger had some funny moments, so I prefer Ginger's over Eureka's. But yeah, just neither of them seemed to really do much with it for me, but you know, maybe it just wasn't their type of song, and that's fine. You know, obviously it's one of those things, you kind of have luck of the draw when it comes to lip sync songs. Either it's going to be a song that is in your wheelhouse and you're like, yep, I can do this, or it just is what it is. Raja Aden? What is that? Raja again did quite well in the lip sync. I mean, we know she's good at lip syncing anyway. She had like this lovely big purple like coat cover thing on that she took off. She did really well. She was quite high energy. Kylie for me won this. Personal basis, I think she won this. I think she did really well. She had like a big green like cover thing on that she threw off, and then it was like the bit where my heart like jumped into my throat where she tripped on it. And then she started staggering forward. I'm like, no, no, no. And then she turned it into a roll and like then slid onto the stage. I was just like, this bitch. It's like, only you, Kylie, could start tripping and turn it into a stunt. What the hell? And then at one point she ended up laying on the coat as well. So I thought she did a fantastic job, especially with that moment where I mean, it could have been bad. She could have just fallen flat on her face, but she didn't. You know, she started stumbling and turned it into a roll. And that's how you do that sort of thing. I would have been screwed in that situation. I would just But yeah, I think Kylie won the lip sync. I think she did a really good job. I think Raja did a really good job as well. We get to the moment where Ru's about to announce the crowning. For me, I would have been happy as long as it wasn't Eureka, and that sounds really bad, and it's nothing against Eureka. It's just, given how the season's gone, for me, it was between Raja, Kylie, and Ginger. Based on the lip sync, I would have been fine with a double win between Kylie and Raja, because I feel like with the lip sync, Ginger kind of like edged out of the you're in the running for the crown now, just because it just, I don't know. It just wasn't high energy enough with the lip sync, I think, for me. But the winner is announced, and I mean, you can probably tell by the pictures on the side. Kylie is the one that wins. So Kylie Sonika Love has been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Well done, Kylie. We've got our first trans winner for mainstream Drag Race. And, you know, I mean, what a way to do it. You know, go home really quite early and then come back and not only get to the final four, but win the whole competition. You know, it's a feat all by itself. Very well deserved. I think she did a great job this season. I am, however, still really sad that Ginger didn't win. And as much as I'm like, yeah, you know, based on the lip sync and that, it wasn't going to be Ginger. For me, I still think she should have won season 7, personally. It's still, like, that thing where I think she should have won. So I also think Ginger's one of those people where she's just so good that I think she deserves a crown. I would have liked to seen Raja with a crown as well, just because I think she did really well this season and she showed a lot of heart and a lot of growth from her season as well. But, you know, if we've only got one winner and it's Kylie, I'm not mad at that. I think she's done, as I said, a great job this season and lots of people love Kylie, including me. So, All Stars 7, apparently people have already started to be contacted for it. The question is, will Adore Delano be on All Star 7? Because she was nearly on All Star 6. But then they couldn't, like, okay her talent show or something. So she wasn't on. So who knows? Maybe she'll end up on All Star 7. And just think of, like, all the people they could get back for All Star 7. Like, there are so many queens. Like, not only from, like, the newer seasons, but there's so many queens still from the older seasons that either have been on All Stars and I think should come back, like Coco. I'd love to see Coco Montrese come back. But then also like Nicole Paige Brooks, like Kylie did, and before she got on All Star 6, like Nicole's really started sort of campaigning in case of like, you know, I really want to get on All Stars. Tell them that you want to see me if you do, and maybe I'll end up getting on, sort of thing. And I think it would be good. Again, she's one of those queens that has been off TV for so long, well, off of Drag Race for so long. It would be nice to see her come back and have another go. There are queens from All Stars 2, 3, you name it. I mean, there are so many queens that even if they've already competed quite recently on an All Stars, or like a few years ago on an All Stars, I still would love to see come back, just because why not? I mean, you know, Ginger's great proof. You know, she was on All Stars too, but she didn't do very well. But she came back and, you know, she did very well this season, you know, and she made top 4. That was great. Could you imagine if, like, Tatiana got asked to come back? Or, again, Adore, she was on All Stars too, but she left. You know, what would she be able to do now if she came back? And, you know, being in the right headspace, you know, would she be able to win? Would she be able to make the top? It would be nice to see that sort of thing. But then there's also lots of queens that haven't had the opportunity. Jessica Wilde, Nicole Paige Brooks. You know, I'd even happily see Laganja come back. You know, she did so well in that lip sync against TKB. Yeah, who would you like to see come back? Leave me a comment down below. There are like so many queens. It's ridiculous. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, follow me on my socials. I'm really bad at posting, but I keep trying to be better. It's all about trying. If you don't try, hey, who knows? But that's going to be all from me. I will see you lovely people later. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. I don't know where that went, but or was going. Who knows? Anyway, see you later.